Welcome back to another episode of Red Jacks On. Today I'm going to be your host, Serhan.
And with me, Charlie.
And me, Rick.
And me, Frazer.
Whoop, whoop, yeah, boy. So today's episode is a little bit inspired from Rikesh. Something to do with you, by the way. Don't worry.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It is Rikesh. 1992 summer. The world stopped. No. So Rikesh done an episode on Quentin Tarantino, as we all know, because we were there, and I'm sure we've all listened to it at least 10 times each. Put it on our likes and subscribed, of course. Download it and everything. Post it to my mom. So today's episode was something that I actually mentioned in that poddy. Today's episode is on the director and writer Edgar Wright.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Really nice.
So I've made just a little list and description of his his main sort of filmography is what they would call it.
Yeah.
Is that correcto? And just some of his work and just a little bit of trivia at the end.
Is it filmography?
Nice.
Because discography makes sense for an artist, but I don't think filmography is the right thing. Because I think filmography is like the way it's shot, isn't it?
All right, hold on.
Google.
No, we're gonna fucking Google it right now. All right.
That's cinematography.
Filmography.
I swear there's filmography. Oh no, maybe you're
Folio.
right. Yeah,
Filmography
maybe it's
Meaning a list of films by one director, actor, or one subject. Boom!
That's it then, yeah.
Nice.
I did fucking film at uni. I didn't really know that.
Minus 1 point for Charlie.
One less point for Gryffindor.
Is it movieology? It's movieology. Is it the pictures? Have you ever had someone say that to you? You ever tell someone? Yeah, like I'm not bagging on anyone, but I've had like when I had much older neighbors. I just went to cinema. I was like, oh, how was the pictures? And I was like, the first time I heard that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
My whole family used to call it the pictures. We always used to go down to the pictures. But there was only 5 pictures per film. It was just
the moving pictures.
I still remember the first time I showed my mum a song, and it was just like a SoundCloud song, but no, not a song, but it was like a song that was edited like in a like kind of
music?
the record scratch sort of style. So it'd be like a brick it, and that kind of like thing, and it was on Spotify. It was digital. And her natural reaction was like, "Oh, is the LP jumping or something? Is the needle kind of rocking or something?"
Oh, bless!
Right.
It's like we've passed that. We're not even on CDs at this point, but I love that she knows it. She listens to music on YouTube, like she's in touch enough. But it was just that was her reaction to be like, "It's scratching. Something must be wrong." I'm like, "No, Mum, it's edited that way. It's done on purpose." So yes, filmography of Edgar Wright. So before I jump in, what do we kind of know and what have we experienced of this director / writer?
Well, the
Cornetto
trilogy, isn't it? Did you do
yeah,
Cornetto trilogy, Kick-Ass, yeah.
God, that's already a great lineup.
Mm-hmm.
He did Baby Driver as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Kingsman?
He did.
Great film.
No, he didn't do Kingsman.
Oh.
Did Scott Pilgrim?
Did he?
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim, but not Kingsman. I know we're talking about different. Well, when Rikesh was talking about Quentin Tarantino, like we all got different like directors that I would still love to talk about. Like I would even love to touch on like Christopher Nolan, that one of my friends Ali was mentioning, was like talk about the Dark Knight trilogy and all his other films. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but I was like Tarantino has that stamp on all of his movies, that flavor and that theme and style. I was like, Edgar Wright definitely has his own, and he deserves it. You know, it's not a director I really sit back and think about too often, but when I, like you guys, just mention a couple of films, top of your head, you're like, oh damn, that's already good enough for me.
Yeah,
he is a very good director. I like the way he shoots his films. He's very good.
Yeah.
When you see his name come up on the trailer, you're instantly a bit more like, "Ooh, okay." It's a bit, it is a bit like Tarantino. You're like, "Oh, okay, I've got to watch this now."
It's very like I would go for the director more than necessarily just what the story of the film is, even though I have full faith in it. Right then, so we'll start with his first sort of debut film, and this is a film that he made. It was a sort of a not fan-made film, sort of like a homemade film at 18 years old in 1993 in his local hometown / village, and it's called Dead Right. And Dead Right is a low budget, or more precisely no budget, 40-minute crime horror action comedy. Already sounds like Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
And Edgar Wright's first directorial. It was filmed in 92 and 93 in his hometown of Wells, England, when Wright was only 18. He wrote, edited, produced, directed, shot the movie, and recorded the sound. It is
Did you say Wales, England?
Wales. Not
Wales.
Wales.
Wales. I was going to say, I was like, what? Where is he from then?
Yeah, W-E-L-L. It's a
sorry.
region of. It's all right.
Sorry.
It's
my poor hearing.
Microphone.
Sorry.
It's your poor hearing. Get the fuck out.
What?
Fuck out.
Sorry?
What?
What'd you say? Pardon?
Tonight,
Love you.
Starbest tonight.
Fuck you.
Your mic
So-
is a bit loud, Charlie. I don't know if it's
Mine.
yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know if
Okay.
it's
Who,
close
Charlie
or
or
if
me?
it's no Charlie.
I don't
Like
hear
reverbing
Charlie's
a little
but
bit.
it's quite muffly.
Is that
it's almost
better?
like
Oh yeah,
it's a
that's
bit
good.
better because it's
Bit
kind of
tense,
very like,
okay.
and I was saying this, and I'm like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I was born
Yeah.
in the microphone. Right, so he wrote, edited, produced, directed, shot the movie, and recorded the sound. It is a Zucker Brothers style comedy that parodies the action thriller genre, most notably the series. Dead Right was the working title for the original Dirty Harry. Do you know the film Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know the whole like memeable sort of quote of like, "Do you feel lucky, punk?"
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't say it
Yeah.
like that. That's Dirty Harry. My dad loves that film.
Mhm.
The film is shot on, and I had to look into the acronym because I was like, I've forgotten. It was shot on SVHS, Super Video. I didn't even
Oh,
know
wait, say it
they
one more
had
time.
the,
Yes, the video
Super
what?
VHS.
Yeah, I think you
You broke
Say
up.
that again.
The tech is so old that the internet was like, what?
Wait,
And
what
Super
was it called again?
Video.
Because your thing cut, your internet cut. What was it called?
You just did it to me on purpose, you
Serhan.
sons of bitches.
Serhan, what was it called
I'm being
again?
dead serious.
It's called
Serhan, what was it called
SV
again? Sorry, carry on.
I don't hold 3 weeks at a time, and you do it a favor. What? Yeah, thought so. Thought so.
But that
Put
was
it down,
bad.
boys. Put it down or leave the room.
I think when you get excited, your internet starts acting up.
We can't
It
handle
does,
it.
yeah.
A little
We
bit.
can't handle
A
it.
little
But no, seriously, say that acronym again. I didn't catch it.
SVHS.
Yep. What does it stand for?
Super Video Home System.
Oh, okay.
That is actually the first time we've heard
There
it,
you
for
go.
real. You broke up every time.
Okay.
And then we just started interrupting you for bands.
You said something else before as well, but like you said like Zucker Brothers or something like that.
I think it's just Zucker Brothers must be like a type of film like the brothers that produce it. So it's kind of saying like it's taken from that theme. I haven't had time to look into every link.
Oh, fair.
So Zucker Brothers must be. You can Google it as I go. Back me up, support me.
Yeah.
You know, be a
Have a look.
team. Okay, we've already got listeners. I don't need 3 others.
Oh, you said
Could
team.
have been
I'm
more
out.
prepared, Serhan.
Selfish prick. Are you kidding me? I printed this. Can you?
Okay, so it's kind of like I think when they say Zucker Brothers, it's like spoof horror, like scary movie and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
That's its own
they're
genre. It
quite
has its
famous, I
own
think,
name.
for their spoofs.
No,
It's not its own
Zucker
name, I think.
Brothers, David Zucker and Jerry Zucker.
David and
Yeah.
Jerry.
Oh,
They're actually
okay.
directors. Yeah.
Okay.
It produced it so much
Okay.
that they've kind of not created the genre, but I think they've owned it in the modern world of like the whole spoof style comedy. So you can really call it. It's like saying it's like a Tarantino style film. It kind of feeds
Yeah.
the same themes.
Oh my god, he did Ant-Man as well.
So
Shit.
He helped
no,
with
he
the,
hasn't. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna.
Oh, he didn't do Ant-Man.
Yes. he didn't do Ant-Man. Oh my god.
Correction.
He's on there. It says he's
Edited
on there.
out.
But I must be wrong.
I'm gonna touch on to that. I'm gonna go deeper into that because that's something that will be very relevant to us. But yeah, so SVHS, don't ask me to repeat it, and contains an impressive cast of 70 actors, mostly amateur, mainly made up of Wright's school friends and colleagues. Clips from the film were first broadcast on Takeover TV, the Channel 4 series consisting entirely of video clips sent in by viewers that also launched the careers of comedy duo Adam and Joe, which I don't know who they are. I'm really sorry, Adam and Joe. I'm really sorry. I don't know who you are. The story of Maverick, D.I. Barry Stern, and his book partner, D.I.
Wait, stop.
Serhan, your internet is so bad. You've done us a massive favor by hosting, but yeah, we can't understand a word you're saying.
Is it really,
turn off anything else on the Wi-Fi
dropping?
I thought you got new internet.
I did. I've not had you know what? I never have a problem. Only when I do the poddy with you guys. I do like 6 sessions a day, no issues.
Or maybe they're just not telling you.
I'm sitting there for like 45 minutes going, yeah, so let me tell you how to help you. Like, and then you go.
They're just at the end like, thank you.
Your microphone is kind of peaking a little bit. I don't know if that.
Like it's fine for a few minutes, but then when it cuts out, it gets really fucking bad. And it usually cuts out when you're explaining shit.
And it's like every other word.
We can cut all this. Or keep it in. It'll be fun.
No, it does say my internet is weak today.
Oh.
Oh dear. Use your hotspot or something on your phone. Is your phone internet better?
Yes.
All right, let me join you with my hotspot. Give me a second. Give me a second. Wait. Please
join on your phone.
Rikesh, why'd you
don't hotspot?
Why'd you start the moustache?
Let him have his moustache, Serhan, for fuck's sake. He's so happy.
I put it on. Yeah, thank you, Charlie. Fucking.
And it looks good, mate. You look really handsome.
Fucking internet
I don't think he's
after me and my moustache.
I don't think he's actually here anymore.
No, he's gone. While he's gone, should we just bitch about him? So.
Can you imagine if he's just freezing? He's just like, wait, this is the moment. This is when they're all going to talk shit.
I'm going to hear it. What a we can cut that. Beep. He's back.
I'm back. You're back. Everybody's back. But you threw the good Serhan away. It's me, his evil brother. Nah, rest. This because it's backwards. It's my name backwards.
Oh, okay.
Law
makes more sense now.
Right, can you? So it's all smooth. We're back in the same room.
He loves working with Simon Pegg, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, Simon Pegg's
Nick Frost, just like the Trinity, the Trinity.
The whole.
Indeed, they
He
are.
doesn't have a lot of
good
films, though, does he?
He's not got a lot, but the ones he does have are strong. They're all strong films.
That can't be right. He hasn't just got 6 films, right?
Right. So, what was the part that you guys? No. He's got more. He's got more than that.
You were starting to explain something.
The storyline, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was fucking ages ago. Is that when you got like cut off from you guys?
Yeah.
So the Dead Right 1990 film. The story of D.I. Barry Mike.
It cut up.
No.
It's fine, mate.
It did.
Right, I'm joining on my phone.
It seems to happen when you get really close.
Some of this game.
No, it just keeps happening anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
Well, how much time have you got left on this recording? Like
Can't be much.
Probably like 5 minutes.
Can you pause it
right,
and then restart it back up?
Yeah, I wonder if pausing actually helps.
Okie dokie, right. That took way longer than I wanted it to. Okay. So,
carry on, mate. Carry on.
I can just about hear you guys, but it's okay.
How about now? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. It's just
Serhan.
quiet. It's fine. I can hear you now. It's quiet, but I'll deal with it.
Serhan.
Yes, Rikesh. Yes.
Serhan, we
You're
can't
right,
hear
mate.
you. No, I'm joking. Don't. I'm joking. Please don't go again.
Right. For the third time, Dead Right, 1993. The story of this film follows Maverick D.I. Barry Stern and his by-the-book partner D.I. Mike Tite, which already sounds hilarious, as they investigate a serial killer in a small Somerset community. With a blend of humor and satirical elements, the film features a mix of absurd scenarios, including disguises, a serial-obsessed killer, and by the word serial, I mean the food cereal, an army of serial boxmen, again, the food, and a climactic showdown. As the film unfolds, unexpected twists and comedic moments lead to a chaotic and explosive finale, leaving D.I. Barry Stern reflecting on his disillusionment with the police force.
Martin Freeman's in this.
Very familiar in his filmography already from day one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Martin Freeman. Wow.
What?
Is he?
Yeah.
Where did you get Martin Freeman from?
He's in the cast for this film.
Is he?
Yeah.
But Dead
I don't
Right.
see him.
Oh damn.
You know,
I don't
research
see him in this thing.
Did not show him on IMDb.
No.
Hmm.
There's a guy called Martin Curtis.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Martin Freeman's.
Okay.
Maybe I'm
Dead
being
Right.
lied to.
Carry on.
So yeah, that was his first debut film that he filmed in Somerset in the town that he was born in at 18 years old, and he got it televised. Never heard of it, obviously. Never watched it, obviously. But for 40 minutes, I would watch that with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd watch
So
it.
would I.
Sounded fun.
Sounds good. So his next film was only 2 years later, 1995. And if you guys know any spaghetti and westerns, this film is called A Fistful of Fingers. Probably playing on a fistful of what?
What? I didn't say that.
Playing on the words a fistful of dollars. Is in 95, and it's a low-budget Western parody. The film follows the misadventures of a clueless gunslinger known as the Sheriff. Set in a comical Wild West landscape, the Sheriff finds himself caught up in a series of humorous and satirical events, offering a light-hearted take on the Western genre, showcasing Wright's early humor and penchant for genre parodies. So you can kind of see that he had a very strong sense of self and direction that he kind of wanted to go into, but it was just basically kind of perfecting his technique and practicing through the time. And if he was 95, he would have been 20 in this next one.
Wow.
90.
old
I'm
now.
just looking at this on IMDb, right? And there's like he had like a crazy credits bit on IMDb. And you know how at the end in most films they've got, no animals are harmed in the making of this film or whatever. In this one, and for this film, the credits say no animals were harmed in the making of this film. They were all killed.
That's amazing.
Get away with that now.
Be riots. He'd get cancelled.
Literally, get cancelled.
Shouldn't do that.
So did he film a Western in Britain?
It didn't actually mention where he filmed it. I would imagine that he found some open landscape, and by 20 he might have moved on. I know he moved out of that village quite early on, of that town, because he wanted to go and expand.
I think it's still
himself.
in Somerset. I think it's still set in Somerset.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That'd be strange to see.
A Somerset Western.
Countryside cowboys.
Yeah, that actually seems fun as well, to be honest. We should have an Edgar Wright day, and then we should have a Tarantino day.
No, I would
Just
like
to
to go
cleanse the
backwards.
palate.
I would like to go backwards and forwards. I would like to watch like a Tarantino film and then an Edgar Wright film, because I feel like too much of one or the other might do your head in. More Tarantino. I think the amount of violence and blood, it would
You
kind
go
of throw
full
you
Arbed. Nick Cage.
off.
I'm a cat. I'm a cat.
I'm such a cat.
So Serhan, take a break.
Taking a fucking sip of water.
I'm sorry. I'm really annoying mood today. I do apologize.
It's okay.
Not really.
The internet's already pissed me off as it is. So you guys can keep pushing my buttons. Boop. Boop. Push the red button. I was watching that the other day.
Like it's a movie. It's like a fucking 2-minute fucking skit you did at school.
But it popped up in something. I can't remember what it popped up in. Was it somewhere on my Google Drive or somewhere? And I was just going through like deleting stuff, or was it maybe on my phone? And I clicked and like push the red button. Doof, ow!
We need a drive space for all of these to go in.
Yeah,
that'd be so funny to just have that pop up on the phone, or don't be a mug or something like that.
Don't be a mug. Just that sound effect. Ding ding.
You know what? I still think the unedited version of all of those videos are much funnier, because you see like someone like drop to the floor and then you just see someone going like trying to hold back the laughter, and I'm holding the camera shaking. Please don't. I'm trying. So I take you 1 year later into the year of 96, which I was about 5 years old. So he was doing a lot with his life compared to me, even though he was 15 years older than me. But, you've done better.
Excuses, Serhan, excuses.
Shut your goddamn dirty mouth, okay, Frazer? You shut your dirty mouth, okay?
How dare you speak the truth at me?
I was trying, guys. So, his film is called Mash and Peas. At that point, I was eating the food. I wasn't filming the film, okay? So we were close enough. Just add in some fish fingers and ketchup, and I was there. But Mash and Peas of 1996. Again, another parody sketch show written by and starring Matt Lucas and David Williams. Their first television work together. So this is how they kind of like started to work together. It originally aired on Paramount Comedy 1 and Channel 4 between 96 and 97. The episodes were repeated before the channel's relaunch in 99. The program is made up of parodies of various television genres introduced by the childish and incompetent Danny Mash, who's Lucas, and Gareth Pease Williams. Edgar Wright directed, and long-standing collaborator Paul Hutzner appeared throughout. So he kind of brought this comedy duo together and to light. And we obviously know them in the UK heavily of Matt Lucas, David Williams, that they had what was their show called?
Little
Britain.
Little Britain. I fucking love Little Britain.
Mm-hmm. That was a great show. So cancelled now. Definitely not allowed now.
100%. I used to always, but I think it kind of works both ways, because like the guy in the wheelchair, it could be seen as, they're taking the piss of disabilities, but then when the guy turns his back, he's getting up and like fucking climbing trees, chasing things, and it's like, no, he's showing how competent he is.
It's inclusive.
It's inclusive. It's showing him off. But I guess with that cancel culture, they'll be like, no, he's pretending. He's taking advantage. He's taking our benefits. I'm like,
I think if we try to find something to watch, I think we should try and find that, because you just reminded me of how like those old comedy sketch shows were like. They were actually really funny. I used to love watching those with my mum. Like
same.
The Mighty Boosh and like
Mighty Boosh.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Catherine Tate show.
Lenny.
Oh yeah.
And my brother.
Did you watch the Lenny Henry show as well? Back in the day.
Lenny Henry show.
Yeah.
Lenny Henry show was fucking hilarious, man.
So funny.
That shit was so funny.
I used to love Lenny Henry. I used to watch was it The Vicar of Dibley with Dawn French?
Dawn French, yeah.
That was an actual sitcom.
No, that was a sitcom. That was a sitcom itself. But that's when TV was more TV. You didn't lean into the internet. Internet was like still generating. So I remember like Friday night or Saturday night TV. Like I remember like Bruce Forsyth, like TV shows and stuff like that, and game shows and sitting down with the band.
Yeah,
man.
Crystal Maze, dude. Oh my god,
Crystal Maze.
That was such a good show.
What was the one in the desert? In the sandy sort of one, they had to do like obstacles and shit like that. That's not Desperado. And they would have like tigers locked up in cages and shit. They'd have to run through, and
I
That
don't
was
know.
Crystal Maze, wasn't it?
Was that Crystal Maze? I don't
The one
remember
with
the
the
name.
I think they had tigers in Crystal Maze. They never
They
like
were
fought
that,
over
that
it.
was always indoors though, wasn't it?
I
Yeah,
just
well,
love the
yeah.
idea.
Remember Serhan had like Turkish cable, so
Yeah.
stolen cable. So they could have been watching anything.
Turkish Crystal Maze.
Turkish Crystal Maze. You're running through the maze, but there's just a random tiger being let loose as well that you had no idea.
That
I
would
used
be
to watch
really fun to watch.
I used to enjoy
Terrifying.
watching Robot Wars with my dad.
Yeah, that was
Robot
Yeah.
Wars,
was
man.
peak.
I always wanted it. I was like, oh my
I
god.
think
you can do
Robot
this.
Wars always came on after Simpsons or before Simpsons.
Yes,
So
it
you
was.
could always
I think it was
catch it.
always after
Yeah,
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
because I think it
Yeah.
was at one point it was like Fresh Prince, Simpsons, and then Robot Wars.
Yeah.
And that's what
What
we
a
used to
lineup.
watch as a family. I know. It was like 5 to 7 p.m. or 6 to 8 p.m. that window. Then they started to put Hollyoaks after The Simpsons, which pissed me off.
Yeah, I hated when they did that.
Oh,
That genuinely ruined my
yeah, that was
evenings.
dead.
Yeah,
Ruined your whole year. Hollyoaks come down. I'm done. Fuck you, 98.
I was
I'm
probably
done.
literally done by that point anyway, because my mum was always into the soaps, and I think 7 o'clock was Emmerdale. And then
Oh
it just,
no.
it snowballs from there, doesn't it?
And then EastEnders.
Yep.
Fucking EastEnders.
In
Why
all
is that
fairness-
still going?
I went through an EastEnders stage. I went through like
Yeah,
a very
we all
small
did.
time.
Yeah.
But
When it was part thriller, basically.
Yeah.
But
I
after
remember
that,
like Who Shot Phil was probably the last
Yes!
thing I remember
Yeah.
watching.
Who
Who
shot
Shot
Phil?
Phil? It
Yes.
was Sharon. I'm your mother. Oh,
I don't think that's what happened, was it?
no,
sounds
not
like
with
multiple
Phil. That was
storylines.
with-
That was like
with
3 different things
Kat.
just mixed into
That
one.
was with Kat. Do you remember when Kat and Zoe?
Cat and
like,
Zoe, yeah.
when pretending
You
to
ain't
be
my
sisters?
mother. Yes,
You
I
ain't my.
am.
That's it. You ain't my mother.
I think we were joking about that in school for a while.
You know
Oh,
what?
100.
When that happened.
I love the EastEnders Christmas special they used to do. They done one Christmas
live
special.
one.
Yes,
remember
love that
that.
episode.
I remember
That
that.
was
I remember
awesome.
that.
And Bradley fell off the roof.
Did he? I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
do you remember? He obviously not. It was part of the script. He didn't just fall off a roof and die live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it was part of the thing. But yeah, like he forgot his line at one point as well. Anyway,
Yes, sorry. So now we move on to, and I think this is where I kind of got introduced to Edgar Wright, but I didn't know it was him. And I was a show too young enough to appreciate, and which was 1990 2001, Spaced. And you guys are aware of Spaced, right?
No.
No? Space was one of those shows that you would kind of catch like late night on TV and watch it and be like, I'm
Yes.
tripping without realizing I'm tripping.
yeah,
Like I'm going for, like I've dropped the fucking acid or something, and I've never done it, but there you go. So
Yeah.
Spaced is a British television sitcom co-created and directed by Edgar Wright. The series follows the lives of a group of 20-something friends living in London, centering around Tim Bisley, which is Simon Pegg, and Daisy Steiner, Jessica Hines, two strangers who meet while apartment hunting and decide to pose as a couple to secure a flat. They move into a flat in a Victorian house, and as they navigate their unconventional living situation, they become close friends. The series delves into the lives, aspirations, and idiosyncrasies of Tim, a comic book artist aspiring to greatness, and Daisy, an aspiring writer, alongside their eccentric and lovable friends, including Tim's best friend Mike, which is Nick Frost. And I think that's how they kind of started to collaborate. Aspiring soldier Brian, Mark Heap, and enigmatic artist Twist, which is Katie Carmichael. They tackle various challenges and embark on humorous misadventures. Spaced is known for its unique visual style, clever pop culture references, and rapid-fire editing techniques. The series skillfully blends comedy, surrealism, and heartfelt moments, exploring themes of friendship, creativity, and the struggles of young adulthood. With its witty writing and innovative storytelling, earning and gaining a cult following, and is regarded as a beloved and influential sitcom. Now, I am aware of it, and I'm very aware of its cult following, that people really gravitated towards this show, and it really I think this was the first time that Edgar Wright got to flex and really practice his sort of art, and on top of that kind of establish his cast, because obviously him, Simon Pegg, which they've co-written stuff together, and Nick Frost, and even the other actors and actresses, they're quite reoccurring throughout his films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds funny. Looks like it'd be a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I
I
never
would
caught
be-
it on TV.
I would be
I feel like I
curious to
remember
watch
seeing this
it
on
now.
Netflix at some point.
I think
I
I've
remember
watched bits
seeing.
of it.
I've watched bits. I remember it being like on like a music channel, like Channel 4, like number 21
For
on
music,
Freeview.
probably.
Yeah, like for
Mm.
music stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Randomly at night, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I can enjoy it, but I don't get it. Because by this point, I'm like, oh, that's Simon Pegg. What the fuck is this role that he's doing? Like, I couldn't fathom it when I was that young. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. We just wanted to take a moment here to take this ad and just kind of explain how and where our podcast is going and just growing. So we've actually created a Gmail account that we wanted to connect with you guys, get closer to our many listeners that I know that are eager to have any sort of comments or questions or anything you want to throw our way. And our email address is rjopoddy@gmail.com. That is rjopoddy@gmail.com. And like I said, any comments or questions, anything you want to throw our way, we would really appreciate it. Secondly, we want to mention our highly under-advertised Instagram page where yours truly has been editing and sort of collaborating all the adverts that we've created for ours and your entertainment. Just adding some visuals and whatnot and just having a little gag, a bit of fun with it. And yeah, just somewhere else that you can find us. And that's our Instagram page. Just Red Jacks on. You'll see the same logo, the same fonts, and all of our adverts. And yeah, we hope you enjoy. So now we move on to the first of the Cornetto trilogy. So from Space, finishing around 2001, we jump to 2004 with Shaun of the Dead. Amazing film. Amazing film. Like one of my mum and dad's favorite films. And it feels strange to think that this was one of his probably his first major film that he made was one of his main Cornetto trilogies. And thinking about his 2004 is almost 20 years ago. And it still feels very relevant and very like watchable now. It doesn't, it hasn't
That's
lost.
insane when you say it like that. Like this film was
Yeah.
almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
Fuck,
mad,
I
isn't
feel old as shit.
It's still
Rikesh,
it holds
Rikesh.
up really well.
It does. It really does.
But so I mean, I know it goes without saying, but I'll say it for the listeners. So Shaun of the Dead in 2004 is a horror comedy parody film, as a lot of Wright's movies are, and even with its title inspired by the horror film Dawn of the Dead of the same year, 2004. The film follows Shaun, a directionless man in his 30s, who wakes up one morning to find himself in the midst of a zombie apocalypse in London.
Relatable.
Teaming up. Yes. It's just called a Monday in London. Teaming up with his lazy best friend Ed, Shaun embarks on a journey to rescue his loved ones, including his ex-girlfriend Liz, and finds safety in the space of his local pub, the Winchester Tavern. The film cleverly combines humor, social commentary, and homage to classic zombie films, resulting in a unique blend of laughs and scares. That sounds accurate, but it sounds very simple compared to the enjoyment of the journey of watching that film. I think it shows a lot of his music direction and editing style and all of that team that collab together. It's a fun journey, and it's I think it stood like the well through time of the fatigue of zombiness. I think there's things I could watch of zombie stuff and be like, but that I'm like, no, I'm not watching it for the zombies. That's like the backdrop to their craziness.
I mean, as far as I know, this done way better than Dawn of the Dead, right? Like, this must have been bigger. Was Dawn of the Dead English or was it American?
I don't know. You'd have to look it up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember ever watching. I think I watched Dawn of the Dead once, but Shaun of the Dead I have watched like loads,
loads.
Yeah, probably 100.
They came out in the same year. That's crazy.
They came out in the same year.
How did he know? Like,
Zack
obviously it's a parody of that film, but
no, but I think Dawn of the Dead title is a George Romero inspired film. So I think that one was the 2004 one was a remake. So I think they were both pulling from an
it's like a
OG film.
Yeah, from way back in the day. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
How has it
makes
only got a
sense.
7.9 rating on IMDb?
What?
That's blasphemy, mate. That is blasphemy. Okay, I don't agree with
Oh,
any
yeah,
of these, but I've just scrolled through and they've all got like terribly inaccurate ratings. It's a 10. It's a straight 10.
Yeah,
It is a 10. It is a 10.
Well,
I
just
think-
just to compare Dawn of the Dead to 2004 Shaun of the Dead, or
Mhm.
both of them from 2004. The budget for Shaun of the Dead was 6.1 million, and the box office it made 30 million. And for
Mhm.
Dawn of the Dead,
Hang on.
the budget was 28 million. It's got 26 million here. I don't know if that means that's what it made. See if I can actually find out.
I mean, it would have affected the sales, isn't it? Because you'd be like, "Oh, do you want to go and watch Dawn of the Dead, or do you want to go and watch Shaun of the
It made
Dead?"
It made 102 million.
So technically,
102.
Shaun of the Dead did better as far as profit.
Yeah, yeah.
But in all fairness, I'm
Yeah.
sure one success fed
Film.
the other, and I can imagine there must have been at least a good percentage of people getting very confused to go, let's go watch that new comedy film, let's go watch that new horror film, and sit down in the cinema or rent it or online and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm enjoying this, but what is this? What?
One person in every screening, for sure.
Yeah,
One
this ain't even
person.
scary.
But we actually move on, and he quickly made the second in his trilogy. So if we go from 2004, 3 years later, which actually isn't a long time when you think about making a film, because you talk about, obviously the scripts might have been pre-written from years before, the ideas, but 3 years to like produce and direct, advertise, and do the whole process of a film. So 2007, we move on to Hot Fuzz. And this action comedy pays homage and cleverly parodies the buddy cop and action genres. Nicholas Angel, an overachieving police officer, is transferred to a seemingly tranquil English village, Sanford. However, he soon discovers a dark secret lurking beneath the surface and must team up with his dim-witted but lovable partner, Danny Butterman, to uncover the truth, which is again Simon Pegg's titular character. Can't speak. And Nick Frost as his friend. And the film combines thrilling action sequences, comedic moments, and a sharp satirical edge.
Mm-hmm. The fence hopping scene returns.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what was in my mind. That was, But
Yeah.
I think he carries it on from all three films, right? Because never taken a shortcut before. And like one of them, he like falls over the fence. One of them, he jumps over the fence. In this one, then the last one, he grabs the fence. The fence just
And the whole fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just drops,
Slams
yeah.
into it.
like he Edgar Wright created his own tropes and then went against audience expectations, which is just fascinating and hilarious.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Hot Fuzz is my favorite out the trilogy, but like
Yeah.
I love Shaun of the Dead. I mean, World's End is that the third part in that? I think
It's the third
isn't it?
one, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the third one.
That one was a bit hit and miss. But Hot Fuzz, absolute gold, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Hot Fuzz,
I
yeah, I
think-
think same.
yeah, but it's
The
the
one you
middle
could chuck
film
on
though.
at any time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's the
And
middle
the-
film though.
And they're going, ah! And he does it at the very end of the film when his dad's running away. I know Nick Frost, what's his name in the film? Ed.
Yeah.
No, Nick.
Oh no,
Frost
that's in Shaun of the Dead.
Danny.
Danny. And he gets his dad running away and he does the point blank shot with the Keanu Reeves and he gets his gun.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah, this film was like you can chuck it on at any point, man. Any time of the year, just chuck it on. It's always a laugh. Always, no matter how many times you've seen it, it's always a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
This
think
had Martin
the
Freeman in it.
It did. It had a lot of him, Alan Partridge, and
Bill Nye.
was it Bill Nye, yeah, as the beginning ones. And when he and even like even like to kind of reflect on his editing skills or his direction, like even the train station, the train sort of scene when he's going from like London to Sanford, and the way it's edited, and it gives you the perspective of time kind of moving forward with the plants and the clocks and the very quick cuts without feeling overwhelmed or lost. You follow the narrative very well, and then he appears, and because that's where the story begins. He gets to the village, and then it goes on.
Another thing
like
is like the because you got that whole host of characters, the whole sort of murder mystery kind of vibe to it as well, and how the characters are all so different and so quirky. It just
Yeah.
really makes the film like you kind of watch it
man.
for all of those and all of those interactions.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole
Mm.
cast. Who's the guy that plays the villain? One of the
Oh,
OG James Bond. So
yeah,
good.
yeah. Something it's got a Z in it.
No, Timothy Dalton.
Dalton. Didn't have a Z in it.
Did I say it? It was Timothy Dalton. That was one of his comeback roles, man. That was awesome. And they went into the they go into the Savers or Iceland or something, and they had permission to just wreck it up in that
Yeah.
fighting scene.
Did they actually? Did they not
Oh,
just build
really?
that?
No. They had permission from one of the shops to go in there and fully wreck it. And it stars
sick.
the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He's
Oh
the
my
main.
God,
He's
he's
the
the
giant. Yeah, no.
Yarp. Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
Yarp.
He's actually the Hound.
Oh crap.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
Hound.
That's the
Learn
Hound.
something new every day. That's actually mad. I didn't know that. Crazy.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's not always about murder. I just love they take
Murder?
that murder. They take the accent. So, they got the guy from Harry Potter, the caretaker, Filch, where they can't understand what he's saying. Like,
Yeah, the farmer,
and
yeah.
it's like, what's he
Farmer,
saying?
yeah.
What? He's like, well, he came down here, right? And then he saw that guy jump over the fence, and he was like, that's a bit of a murder. Like, so good.
Have
And you
you
had Bill
watched,
Bailey as the
Not taking the
the
piss.
twins.
Have you watched Jeremy Clarkson's The Farm?
I've seen
Yes.
so many clips of that guy.
He's got that guy
Yeah.
on there like that, and his like farm attendant friend guy can understand it, but like nobody else can. It's just like that.
I'm never surprised with Jeremy Clarkson. But yeah, I mean, that was Hot Fuzz. And I think it says a lot, especially being his second in the trilogy and second major film, that it would be one of his strongest because it's usually where the formula sits quite right. But moving on, so from 2007 now to 2010, not in the trilogy, but still a very, very strong and one of my personal favorites of Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Great film.
Now, we went and saw this in the cinema together. There was about a good 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did.
I remember this because when the Indian guy Patel pops up, we all turned and looked at Rikesh. And the funny part was Akash was next to him, and even Akash turned and looked at Rikesh. Rikesh was like, "What? Why me? What? Because his Bollywood
Racism.
stuff."
Yeah,
It
fully.
wasn't
I think,
racism. We had an Indian guy looking at another Indian guy. That's not racism. That's just a fact. We followed suit.
well, when I think of this film, I often remember, like, yeah, we watched this in cinema, and that is one of the first things that I remember when the Indian on screen. Everyone stopped and looked at me, and then I looked back at Akash like, "Why are you looking at me?"
It's when he broke into song, Rikesh. It's when he went full Bollywood, and we all just turned and like, "Oh, yo, this is your
Rick.
people." I love Bollywood films, bro. I used to always sit and watch them because they're so close to Turkish films. They've always got that that sort of nunny moment, but everyone gets to zoom in the eye, just like, what did you say? And then there's an ad break, and then it does it again.
Just to make sure you get everyone's reaction. No, they'll show you each person like a good 3 or 4 times, and like, yeah, did you get the
Easily.
reaction? Here's another one. Like a
I
good
love
5
Bollywood
minutes.
films. They're actually top
mate.
tier, mate. They're so good.
Awful.
I mean,
We
I think
should have
last.
parodied them.
Oh,
We
that was
should.
but we
get
should let
together and do one.
Rikesh. We should let Rikesh create, direct, edit, and do everything. We don't have to have them. If Rikesh does it, we're
It's
okay.
true, actually. Yeah, it's true.
That's fair.
Just to
That's
avoid
fair.
racism, let the brown guy kill it. That way, when we're non-compliant, it's fine.
Hey. We said Indian, you said brown. You said it, we thought it. We didn't say it, but you said it.
Just made you for it.
I can say it. I can say it. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh god, cancelled.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I do remember with Scott Pilgrim, that is the first film, I think, game graphics, like the idea of like game elements being in it. It blew my mind, genuinely blew my mind, because it's so like the CGI It actually still holds up to date, and that's like
It meshed
13 years
very,
old.
very
Do you
well.
know what?
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah.
I think the graphics and the theme of it is very similar to games, and you can get away with kind of parodying it. But the sound bites, like they had even like the Zelda theme tune, I'm like, you need copyright money for that. You need to go to Nintendo's very harsh with their shit like that, and I'm like, you went spot on with it. And do you know what I mean? Like, I know they created some stuff like the Ninja dancing game or something they created for themselves, like the dance sort of thing. But like I said, the Zelda theme, you don't recreate that. They bought that out.
It was the film and the time that they played, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But just to give a little synopsis, so Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is based on Brian Lee O'Malley's graphic novel series. This visually inventive film tells the story of Scott Pilgrim, a young slacker and musician who falls for the enigmatic Ramona Flowers. To win her heart, Scott must defeat her 7 evil exes in epic battles infused with video game-inspired visuals and energetic storytelling. The film blends romance, comedy, and action while capturing the essence of youth. A gotcha.
That is not the best description of that film.
Not at
really
all.
not.
None of these. It's very factual, but it's based off. I think this is the first one that he didn't necessarily develop from the ground up. This is something pulled from a graphic novel.
Yeah,
and I know it's different enough from the graphic novel that it can kind of it stands on its own, but it's not shot for shot. There's inspiration.
sorry, Jade's just moaning because I took the drinks out of the fridge. Rewind. Say that again.
Why? Why would you do that? No. Let's stay on. Let's stay on talking. Why would you do that?
Because I didn't have a cup up here, and I have a fridge up here with fucking lemonade, and I didn't want to drink out of the bottle like some kind of fucking savage.
But taking the bottle is civilized.
Come on, Charlie.
Don't move away. What juice was it? What was the flavor? And what was the brand? I need to know this before I can move on.
It was White's lemonade, because
White.
Oh, that's racist.
You said it. We didn't say it. I was thinking it, but
you all thought
it. We all thought it.
Cancelled.
And we're cancelled. That's 2 strikes of racism already. 1 more, we're out.
Don't let me host.
In the space of 5 minutes.
Don't let me host. But yeah, I mean, I think we've said enough about Scott Pilgrim in a sense, but
I was going to say this is like the first time he had like an American cast as well. From like looking at his filmography, everything else seemed very much set in the UK, and this is like the first time you can tell he really got given a blockbuster budget and
Chris
a
Evans
cast
in there.
that went with it.
Well,
yeah.
What was the budget for this film?
Have a little look. But I do know that even with an American cast, it was filmed and with a mix of Canadian cast as well. So the location was Canada. I think it wasn't Toronto.
So they paid him less.
Wow.
It had a 60 mil budget.
So for him, the biggest as of yet.
I don't actually think it. Wait, it had a 60 mil budget opening weekend. It made 10 and a bit.
No,
and overall it's made 33. That's 33 domestic, worldwide 49.
Really?
I don't think it made a profit. I mean,
I know it must be a cult following. It must be.
Yeah, no.
I'm seeing something different. Mine's saying in 2010, Scott Pilgrim was a box office bomb. It grossed 35.8 million, but its budget was in the 60s million.
Yeah,
it was in the 60s.
Yeah. That's what Charlie said.
That's what I just said, mate. Fucking hell, listen. Oh,
sorry. I'm sorry, mate. Sorry, buddy.
But in all fairness, that was the domestic gross. But no, I mean, I still think that as a piece of work, it stands. Like, again, it's one of those films that I could watch. You know what? I would actually happily show that to Tanya at one point because they're all very easy to watch films, but there's enough there that it's not simple or boring or overwhelming in a sense.
I can imagine actually, this director who's used to working on British projects with British actors suddenly going to based off a graphic novel with American actors. If somebody's going to go look to watch a film, they might not be attracted to those kind of things. They think, oh, if they're in the States, they think, oh, who's Edgar Wright? What is this?
Yeah.
What is this all about? Unless they already know what the graphic novel is. And then people in the UK are just kind of like, well, this is strange from Edgar Wright, or they don't want to watch a
I
film
think
like
Yeah, I
that.
think
So,
you're right.
I think it depends on how much reach his previous films made worldwide,
Yeah.
because that's what pulls you in. I think we still would have watched a film like this, and I think at the time I didn't know it was Edgar Wright. I just saw Scott Pilgrim. I was like, that looks like right up our alley. We're gonna love it, and we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame that the film itself didn't pull as much as maybe the name of the director, but I think you guys are right. But I completely disagree with the internet. I want it to go on the record. I don't give a shit. Come at me, bro.
I'm sure it's made much more sense. It must have.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
just
mean, it was
obviously
on
things that don't
Netflix
get
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely getting rented out to all the
Streaming
big
numbers
ones.
and whatnot. Oh,
These things don't get
100%.
recorded.
And
Mhm.
it's very heavy in pop culture. You go to Comic-Con, you're
Yeah.
going to see a lot of like Scott Pilgrim, like merch and costumes and whatnot. Like it's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Some of the best things are though,
Oh.
isn't it? Like, I mean, even
Yeah.
like Avatar: The Last Airbender. No one really watched it when it first came out. Kind of bombed. Then all of a sudden, massive hype for it.
Very true.
Community-
Happens to all the best things. Community,
And
yeah, really
was
good
the
example.
same.
Did Scott Pilgrim came out in 2010?
Yes.
10.
So that
10, yeah.
was 13 years ago.
Same year as Kick-Ass.
Oh,
Which I think would have been-
was the film.
viewed
Yeah.
on a similar vibe.
Mm.
Yeah. I think
Ooh,
that would have
between the two,
pulled
that's a tough
focus.
call.
Yeah.
I still prefer Scott Pilgrim. I think
Oh, that's a tough
They-
one though, man. Kick-Ass was
I think I
fucking
prefer
sick.
Kick-Ass.
Mhm.
I think I
Yeah,
prefer
Kick-Ass was top tier, man. It was so
It
good.
was. Well,
When he
Kick-Ass
gets
1 or
stabbed,
2
then
you're
hit
talking
by the
about?
car. That was the moment
but
I was like,
I think
what
they
film is
both
this?
they both did very different things. I think, do you know what it is? I think because of a little bit of Kick-Ass 2, I think I didn't sour, but it kind of like, okay, it's not bad, but it's there's two of them where, because Scott Pilgrim's only one, I'm like, no, it's just the one and only. It stands on its own, so I have a soft spot for it. And I think especially watching it with you guys. But yeah, Kick-Ass was definitely one of those films that watching it, I'm like, oh, it's a superior film. Oh, he's stabbed. Oh, he's run over. Oh, he's in the hospital. And I'm like, oh, no, this is what really would, like when the kid jumps off the roof in the beginning scene, it's like, I'm gonna fly, boof, and just good stuff.
I don't remember that happening in Kick-Ass.
It was in Family Guy. In Kick-Ass, the scene happens here. He does jump off the building, and then he ends up plummeting to the ground and dying. That's how the film starts.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I do
That's how you know.
remember that.
That's how
Birdman
you
or
know it
whatever
was
it was.
grounded.
Yeah.
What was his nemesis called? The pussy something, or it was something really really random and rancid, like fucking weird.
it had a long name, wasn't it? Wasn't it like mega toxic? I think it had the C word in there as well.
Yeah, I think
Something motherfucker.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had the C word in there.
Yeah.
what a
But
film.
just to
Great
kind of keep going a little bit with the tangent with Kick-Ass, I think it was Aaron. What's the main guy's name? Aaron
Taylor Johnson.
Oh, Taylor Johnson.
Aaron
Taylor
Taylor
Johnson, yeah.
This is not a recent film, but I recently watched this a couple of nights ago. I watched Bullet Train. Guys, it's a really good film. Very easy watch. It's quite funny. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's a chill film to watch it.
Wait. Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. Bullet Train.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to see this, man. I've heard so many good things about that film.
Watch it. It's a very easy watch. There's a lot of like fantastical moments. It's the director of Deadpool 2, so it's got moments where it's a bit like, really? But at the same time, you're like, just accept it. Go for the ride. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
That sounds fun.
Definitely. And Aaron Paul Taylor and what's the guy from Atlanta?
Aaron Paul Taylor. That was
Aaron
so
Paul
wrong.
Taylor. You know what I meant? You know what I
Aaron
meant?
Taylor
The mate-
Johnson, yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson and the guy from Atlanta, Rick, his cousin.
Darius.
He's the other guy with him, and they've got banter. And he plays a
Wait,
British
Darius
guy.
or Paperboy?
Oh,
Paperboy.
Yeah, I know. who you're
Brian
talking about
Tyree
now,
Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays in it. He plays with a British accent. It's really weird in the beginning, but you get used to it. And they're just like proper like, the fuck you talking about? I don't know what the fuck you talking about. I'm gonna fucking slap. Like they really like.
He's a really good
have
actor.
this-
They're
He's a really good
brothers.
actor.
They're like. Well,
Yeah. They're meant to be brothers. Have you watched it, Fraser?
yeah. I watched it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Jokes.
this is not about you. It's about me. I'm
Oh, okay.
You're
Put it
such
away.
a knob.
So sorry, moving on. So now we move on to the last of the Cornetto trilogy of 2013, The World's End. As the final film in the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, The World's End centers around a group of friends who reunite after years apart to recreate an epic pub crawl they attempted in their youth. However, they soon discover that their hometown and its inhabitants have been infiltrated and mostly replaced by alien robots. The film combines humor, nostalgia, and science fiction elements, exploring themes of friendship, growing up, and social conformity, all with a healthy dose of wit and action. What are we thinking? What are we thinking?
I liked it. I liked it. It definitely doesn't like. I don't think it hits the same as Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz did, but it is the third in the trilogy of the similar kind of theme. But I really enjoyed it. Like, it's relatable as well. Old friends coming back together. One of them hasn't really moved on, and the rest of them have. And I think in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's character have like a similar kind of relationship, but in this one, it's kind of more standoffish.
Yeah, that's one big problem with that film.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the things that not lets it down, but differentiates it and makes it not as stand up as well. But I still like that aspect of it and the action scenes.
Yeah, the action is actually amazing. In all of them, the action is pretty good, to be fair. But yeah, The World's End did have really good action. But yeah, Simon Pegg's character was just a bit annoying. Whereas
one of those
usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually Nick Frost's the annoying character, but he does annoying quite well because he's funny. Like, it's like a chubby, funny, annoying guy. Whereas when Simon Pegg's doing it, he's usually like the more grounded one, and they kind of flipped it, and it was a bit strange. It didn't quite work as well, but yeah, it's a good watch. I think I've seen it a couple of times, like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I think it's a film that I forget about, and then after I'm happy to put it on. And I think it's a fair final film in a trilogy. Like, I'm content with it. But I think I get what you guys. I think it's a little bit, because it's science fiction, it's not as grounded as the other two. Because the other two take a what if scenario, probably more Shaun of the Dead, and then they kind of go, "This is the way we would do it." Whereas, I don't know, this felt a little bit more outside of its spectrum. And like you said, I think this was a film based on friends, but it wasn't a buddy film, if that makes sense. It wasn't a buddy corporation, cooperation. And I like Simon Pegg's character because it's only at the end where you get a little bit more heartfelt and a bit more serious, and you learn about his rehab, where he's come from, his sort of attempted suicide. And I think that gives you that moment to go, right, okay, now I understand why you're a bit of a cocky asshole and you're holding on to the past. But at the same time, I wish maybe they introduced that a little bit sooner.
Agreed,
like, I enjoyed him and Nick Frost sort of fight in the pub, and when it leads to that sort of exposition. But I think
they let it grate along the whole film.
They didn't feed it. If they would have done even a moment where Simon Pegg like lifts his hands up, and then you see maybe a cut mark or his hospital tag, and then he kind of quickly puts his arm back in his jacket, like to kind of make you go, what's really going on with you, rather than just let's just fucking do it like we did.
I just don't think he needed a sob story. I think they could have just dialed back his knobheadness. Like, I think in our group, I'm probably that guy, but I hope I'm not as like annoying, like really pressuring your mates into stuff.
Don't put yourself in that position. I think you're that person in every group you're a part of.
Thanks, mate.
Also,
I probably am.
I love you.
I'm the one who's like, guys, let's go jump in that bush.
No, in all fairness,
and then push Serhan.
No, that's we all have a. It has happened, but we've all done it differently. But you're a sort of person that you've never bugged me because you've never been a person to go do this. You've never said do something that you wouldn't do yourself. So that's what is hilarious to a certain extent. Like, you've jumped in more bins and bushes than I've ever thought of in my life.
I think I've definitely made you do things I wouldn't do.
And trolleys. I know Tyrell didn't push me, but I was falling into a bush, and because Tyrell's like a fucking massive building, he fell with me and just crushed me into the building. I gave in, and I was just okay. I remember Chaz holding onto my hands, and Chris being in the car. Do you remember? And he started to drive, and I was like, "Let go!
Oh my god, yeah!"
Like, that was like a teenage stupid moment, because now I look back, I'm like, "You fucking arsehole! You
could have just got dragged.
You pulled my arms in through the passenger window. I was like, let go, please."
Yeah, maybe I am that knobhead. Maybe that's why I didn't like it. It was too
Now
reflective.
that I hear it out loud.
But our temperaments were different then. Like even for media, I think, was it you that ran over Chris over and over again?
No, I got run over. Chris ran over me over and over again
Chris
in
ran
my
over
car.
you in your car, and Vidish was holding the camera, and I was outside with you. I remember giving you moral support, like the car's coming, and bless, like a bit too fast, a bit too slow. And I'm like, "Come on, Chaz, go!" Like egging you on, jump front of the car, get the
we
seat.
did run over Chris as well. Yeah, we ran over Chris and me. Yeah,
because Chris pulled your
he broke my windscreen wiper. Yeah,
and he was like, "Don't tell him."
And then he just put it
Oh,
back.
God.
It weren't even
Yeah,
attached. He just put it back on top of my car. And then when I started driving later, it just fell off. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh.
We used to get away with.
Oh no,
Oh,
we're
shit.
lucky to be alive,
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus.
especially Serhan.
But I was the victim of the year more than the C word of the year. And then
100%.
I started to work my way up. I think Danny was a bit of the victim of the year, but outside of us though.
For a bit, Danny was.
Not through us though. Danny just kept hurting himself by himself with himself. Like I've never known anyone to break their arm so many times.
Yeah, and another thing I like about the World's End is that it's set in Welwyn Garden City that I actually know fairly well. So it's quite relatable.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it say? Welwyn Garden City.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The World's End pub's actually there.
Oh, I thought the World's End. There's one in Camden as well, then, isn't there? That is called the World's End, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but yeah, there's a little bit more to add to that as a description.
Okay.
But I didn't know about the Welwyn Gardens part. So now we jump on in his movies to his latest film being Baby Driver in 2017. GG claps all around. Rikesh is clapping. This stylish action crime film centers around Baby, a talented young getaway driver who relies on music to sharpen his driving skills as well as drown out his tinnitus. Crime boss, Baby dreams of escaping his life of crime and falls in love with a waitress named Deborah. As he plans his escape, he gets pulled into a dangerous heist that threatens everything he holds dear. The film features high-octane car chases, a killer soundtrack tightly synchronized with the action, and explores themes of redemption, love, and the consequences of one's actions. Have we all watched this film?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I've only watched it
Yes?
once, though.
That's
I watched
fine.
half of it.
Why? What happened?
Because it was right after
Who hurt you?
I watched it right after
Did you
the
leave
whole
another drink
thingy. What?
You leave another drink out. You take all the drinks. You didn't finish it.
Got drop kicked.
Sake.
Drop kick. Charlie, I fucking warned you!
I'm trying to watch this film, babe. They put the drinks back. Oh, wait.
I
It
think
was
you should.
Kevin Spacey. That was why I didn't watch all of it. It was right because we were watching House of Cards. We were proper into it.
Yeah.
And then everything happened. Then Baby Driver came out, like, I think a month after all the info had come out about him. And it was just so hard to watch.
No. Baby Driver came out before. I watched the film one time without any of the Kevin Spacey stuff coming out. And then however long, a little bit later, it came, all the news came out. I watched it again. I think I showed it to my uncle. And it did feel strange. I shut that part of my brain off because I'm like, no, this film is too good to do it. But
I need
do
to
understand.
watch it.
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from, Chaz. But I think as a fan of like directing and movies, I know we're talking about Edgar Wright stuff, but this is the only one properly synchronized with the music, beat for beat. Like you writing a script with the music in mind, let alone synchronized with it, is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And the love story.
Yeah. It was a great film.
Right, I'll make sure I watch it. It's got John Berthnell in it as well. Oh, I love.
Yes.
And
John Hamm and what's his name?
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx, another role that I like him in.
Yeah.
I don't like Jamie Foxx in many roles, but
no. All of them are really good in this. Everyone plays. John Hamm in this is really good, and the main characters. Don't get me wrong. I believe their love is really sweet. But Rikesh, you showed me this film. You put it on for me in my shed.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I'll make sure.
Honestly, mate, great film. Great film.
What about you, Fraser? What are you thinking?
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Love a good driving movie. It reminds me of like Gran Turismo or Burnout.
Yeah.
Burnout's a
What?
good game
No.
for like music
Great
and
Yeah.
driving.
Definitely, but
Gives you that
Oh.
vibe.
what are you saying, Charlie? What are you saying?
I
Say
said
again?
it's a good game for crashing. I loved
Oh,
Burnout.
for crashing.
Such a good game. Yeah.
Do you know that
Yeah,
game
great.
got?
The action replays when you did it? It was fucking awesome.
But do you know that game
Yeah.
got credited, which I'm glad it went the other way of saying like people. It was credited for showing what a real accident is, like the consequences of speeding. So it was kind of like highly regarded because of that, rather
Okay.
than you're
It's fun to
glamorizing
crash.
it. Yeah, it's fun
When
to
you
I
crash.
just- yeah,
crash
I
in
found
that
it really
game,
fun.
dude, you go fucking flying when you crash.
There was
Yeah.
challenges to like see how much you could wreck. It wasn't a good message at all. It was terrible. Anyone getting in a car after playing that game is going to be like, I'm going to wreck.
High score! No, end of your life. But no, I love that film. Love that film. Again, a bit more one of his more Hollywoodized films. Obviously, a big
Yeah.
cast.
Mhm.
And outside of the UK, but again, just fully justified itself and has that Edgar Wrightness that we're all like so familiar with and that we enjoy. That theme.
I feel like if you, out of the two, like, out of his more Americanized global releases, like from Scott Pilgrim to Baby Driver, I feel like he kind of perfected the formula he was after in Baby Driver, which is why it's just a much better rounded film than it is.
Oh,
than
really?
Scott Pilgrim.
Than Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah, I mean Scott Pilgrim's a great film. Don't get me wrong, but I much prefer this. They're completely different films. Don't get me wrong, but this is it's an amazing film. Honestly,
I've got to fucking watch
Great
it then,
film.
and I. That's a great review.
Yeah.
That review alone makes me want to watch it.
But I think it
Yeah,
also
same.
stands because Baby Driver is something of his own mind, whereas no matter what Scott Pilgrim is pulled from
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a
Source
source material, so
material,
it's got a little bit, it's got to play by the rules of the story. But before we move on, why don't we just say our top 3 favorites
Ooh.
of the ones we've watched, obviously.
In order, like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So top 3. So let's start with number 3 being our bottom one, and then work our way up.
Oh boy, okay, let me just go through the list one more time.
I can give you a quick little rundown.
Based sounds like a show that I would like.
Yeah, it does,
watch
doesn't it?
that.
Yeah, I think I might watch
I'm
that.
curious to.
Oh, we're curious too.
Curious to know
Cliffhanger.
what you were going to say.
Serhan's face in that fucking frame is terrifying. He looks like a character from Abe's Odyssey. He's got no eyes.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, he's
Oh,
back.
there he's back. There you go.
Bros, could you hear us?
No, all I heard was Serhan's face in that frame, and then it just all cut off, and I was like, "Hello,
Mate, your eyes were all like
hello."
gone. It was terrifying. Like they're all blurred out. All right, third place for me, I will go with Scott Pilgrim.
Nice.
Okay.
I think for me, I would put Shaun of the Dead as third.
Oh, this is difficult.
Yeah, I feel like our lists are probably going to be very similar, Charlie. I think I'll put Scott Pilgrim in third.
Okay.
Shit.
Oh, Serhan.
Okay, hold on. I would say third. Yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
Interesting. Second.
Second for me would be Shaun of the Dead because I've not seen Baby Driver.
Okay, fair. We've got less than a minute though, by the way. I'm just gonna cut.
I think
go.
The second.
mine's the same.
Okay.
I think second for me would be the Baby Driver.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have an ad break before Serhan answers.
Sorry, I thought it was my turn. Also, to add on, me and the boys have wanted to develop and grow the podcast by creating our own individual poddies. Still under the same umbrella, but things are about our own individual passions. Now, for myself being a therapist, there's nothing more that I would like to do than to help people, than to connect to people, than to share any tools and techniques that I might find relevant to yourselves. So if you find yourself having any mild to moderate issues, challenges, things in your life that you need any advice or guidance on, then please message us on our above mentioned rjopoddy@gmail.com with your comments and questions as mentioned. And yeah, if we can talk it through and help yourselves and just see where we can go from there, I would love that, and I would love to help you guys. And to finalize this, being a therapist, you can find me if you are looking for more specific, dedicated, long-term help on the counseling directory under my name, Serhan, Serhan for November, Avci, AVCI. You can also message me directly. That's serhanavcitherapy@gmail.com. And if you find yourself or someone that you may know that needs a little bit of therapeutic help and guidance, throw me in there, see what may happen. And like I said, even if it's not myself, I'm happy to refer anyone on. So, Agony Uncle for the podcast, or find me directly on the counseling directory or message me. Right, I have taken up enough of your time. Back to this another amazing episode of Red Jacks On. Hello. Hello.
And on that cliffhanger, what was your second sound?
I'm gonna go for Baby Driver.
Nice.
So you and Ricks have the same, and me and Fraser have the same, right?
Yeah, I've got Scott Pilgrim and then Baby Driver.
Yeah, you three put Scott Pilgrim as your third, yeah.
I wonder if our first choices are all going to be the same.
I feel like it is.
Go on, Charlie.
I mean, Hot Fuzz. It's got to be Hot Fuzz.
It's got to be Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Quality film.
I think my number one is definitely Hot Fuzz. I think it's the most rewatchable. It was difficult for me because I'm like, I think Shaun of the Dead is a more watchable film. I can watch Shaun of the Dead more on repeat. But when I really thought about Baby Driver, I'm like, no, as a film, it's made so well that it just deserved it deserved that at least second or third place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly,
great film.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's better than Shaun of the Dead, but I enjoy Baby Driver in a different way because I think Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, they collaborate, they work in that same space. Where Baby Driver is his own thing.
But would you say Shaun of the Dead's better than Scott Pilgrim?
No.
You think Scott Pilgrim's better than Shaun of the Dead? I mean, it is a tough call.
No, I don't think it's a better film. I think in my list it's better.
Your preference.
Because they're all three different categories of his time. It's like Hot Fuzz is that stage of his life. Scott Pilgrim is that stage. Baby Driver is that phase. Yeah, whereas to say if I would probably put Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz side by side if I could, because they're just so. I know I can't.
You made the rules.
This is your game, mate.
Yeah.
Actually,
you're lost at your own game.
If I'm the rule maker, then I get to decide what I want, how I want, when I want. So suck a bag of
the game master.
Pilgrims.
I think
Pilgrims.
I think I've had Hot Fuzz on DVD like since forever. But I think last year or something I popped into CEX and got Shaun of the Dead on DVD.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I always enjoy seeing that cover anywhere. Anytime I see it pop up, I'm like, oh, okay. It's like that person you know, but you don't quite see him often. But when you do, you're like, oh.
Yeah, the young Simon Pegg. Yeah.
He's there in every CEX.
It's just a great British film. There's like a lot of like films that try and like show like UK kind of culture, and they don't always pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh god, no.
Hot Fuzz does it nail on the head. You just it spot on.
Yeah,
every
British
scene,
culture, British culture through other cultures' eyes, and I don't blame it. Every culture's got it when it's seen through another culture's and society's eyes. Is either super posh and villainous or really fucking cockney. All right, mate, are you mate? You know, like very Mary Poppins style, or like yes, excellent, yes, simply perfect. I'm gonna dastardly man, and I'm like, okay, we get it, cool.
Yeah. No, I think Hot Fuzz does UK better just because the kind of, what is it, Somerset, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Somerset.
Yeah.
That
Sanford,
accent.
Sanford.
Oh, Sanford. That kind of like
Sanford.
Cornish kind of what's it, like Western, like
Village
English.
kind
Yeah,
of
it's
thing.
just so funny. Like no matter what you say, it sounds, they all sound so dense, but they're not. Like it's just the accent instantly makes you laugh.
All right, my lover.
And
All
even
right, my
even
lover.
Shaun of the Dead is just like
All right, my lover.
just really relaxed about it. Like other media, it can get really over the top.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah,
They play it really well.
I think Shaun of
Yeah,
the Dead
they
is
do.
very Londonized very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's why Hot Fuzz works though, because it's like Simon Pegg's London
Londoner.
coming
Yes.
over, like from Shaun of the, almost like a character from
And
Shaun of the Dead going over.
I really get that feeling more now. Obviously, not more in a less dramatic way. But when I first moved to Scotland, at least for the first 3 months, I was a Londoner here. Like, obviously, I am
You
like
still are.
no, I still am. But what I mean is, I'm born as a Londoner, but I am like culturally a Turkish Cypriot. So I've had like a very city upbringing and exposure with the backdrop of village life. So when I moved from one part of the UK to the other, I'm like, I'm gonna come as a Brit, and I've realized I've had to use more of my Turkishness here and that sort of villagey, warmer culture than the Londonized one. Because when I first came here, people were like, "You're right, mate. How you doing? You know, what you drinking?" My instant reaction without realizing, I was like, what the fuck do you want? Who the fuck are you? Why are you asking me this? Why are you taking a step
Standoffish.
towards me? And I was like, whoa. Yeah, it's very standoffish. And people are very smiley in Scotland and very more inclined to be like, how's your day? How's things? I know my neighbors, but I didn't see as suspicious or standoffish because when everyone's the same in London, it's the same
Yeah.
culture. Whereas coming here, and it was weirdly nice because when I went back to London and I took Tanya with me, and Tanya's had exposure of Brits in Scotland, we're walking down like Edmonton, and she's like smiling at the baby or looking at the dog, oh, hi. And these parents are like, get the fuck in the house, get the fuck in the house.
She's gonna take our child.
Why are they not responding? I said, this is London. I said, we don't do that. I said, look, I said, I was honest with her. I said, socializing in London for me is a skill. It's not a commodity.
Yeah. It needs a circumstance. Like if you're at a bus stop, if you're all waiting for the bus and like it's due in 5 minutes or whatever, you don't talk to anyone. Because if you turn to someone and go, "Hi mate, how's your day?" they will instantly be like, "All right, this guy, I don't want this." They put headphones in or whatever. But if your bus is 20 minutes late, you can start a conversation. You can go, "This bus is taking a while, isn't it?" "Yeah." "Do you think it's
very
coming?"
true.
"I don't know." Like you instantly, you got a circumstance to have. Like you get stuck in a lift, you can chat. If you're just in a lift, don't.
And I think I found that strangest when I've worked in Scotland, and when people go on their lunch breaks to sit in the lunchroom, no one's on their headphones and everyone is talking, and that for me was strange. Like not in a bad way. I love talking, but when I'm in the mood, sometimes I'm like, I've just had like an 8-hour shift. I've still got like however many hours to go. I just want to eat in peace.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I'm like, I'm loving the amount of deep conversation. I like the choice that I can have. Like I can choose to talk or not talk. But in London, it's like, no, 99% of the time, you're not going to talk. You only talk to the people that you know. Do you know what I mean?
Talk unless you made an appointment.
Yeah.
unless you're there for a reason. If it's not customer service, don't
either
look
that or
eye.
unless you're stuck, you just do not talk to other random people on the street. You just don't do it.
I think Charlie.
And if you do, you're weird.
It's circumstantial.
Yeah, literally.
Or you get that odd one in a blue moon person that will talk, but will talk your fucking head off or go crazy or in circles. You're like, oh my god! And then he done this, and then she done that, and you know what he does that. I'm like, oh, what have I done?
It gets deep.
The Uber driver's telling me his whole life. I'm like, I just want to have.
My wife's left me.
Well, that's the worst.
She's taken the kids and the dog. I'm alone. I don't want to go home. I'm sorry, mate. Can you just drop me around the corner, please? Like, just here's fine. Just here.
Let me out. Yeah, you can let me out here. Cheers. Thanks. Good luck. Everything. All right. Bye. One star on Uber.
I've just picked you up. But yeah, so I think Hot Fuzz, you're right, does really that nice sort of that London mentality of him being a bit like very suspicious and this is going to be this extreme. It's got to be murder, and they're all like, it's not always murder. Murder. So we move on to our next segment, which is Edgar Wright directed music videos.
Yeah.
There is a fair few directed music videos, and there is a lot of interesting connections because it's obviously I've not done it in chronological with his films, but there's a lot of connections that tie back. And I've went through a website that listed each video, and some of them I'm watching, I'm like, whoa, I understand where this inspiration came from, where he practiced this and brought it to this movie, and so on and so forth. So, an interview with Edgar Wright around 2017, this is around the time of Baby Driver's release, by filmschoolrejects.com, brought to light an interesting fact about Wright's directorial videography. When asked, Wright reflected that he has directed up to 10 music videos throughout his career, with 3 out of 10 being on a non-digital format, leaving only 7 accessible to us. And this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the 7 videos of Edgar Wright. Right? Am I right?
Did we not miss 2 movies?
Which ones have we missed?
I'm just. There's 2. 1.
No, not
Paul. We didn't talk about Paul.
He didn't do Paul.
Did he?
He didn't do Paul.
No.
Did he not? I thought Edgar Wright.
He might have a writing citation or credit, but when I went through his IMDb, Paul was not listed on there.
Well, there's the Sparks Brothers and Last Night in Soho in 2021. I don't know if those.
I don't know. I didn't see them pop up. I mean, I don't know what his. It wouldn't surprise me if he's got more latest work. Maybe you can enlighten us of what he's doing more. Oh, but this is his work that's been released. Maybe he's still working on it. Maybe it's a TV show. I'm not too sure, dude. But his filmography was up to 2017 and something a little bit in 2020, but not officially made.
Yeah, he's got
I'm seeing Last Night in Soho, but rings a bell, but it's not something I've watched.
Me neither. It's got the lady from Queen's Gambit in it. Anya Taylor-Joy. That's another great show if you haven't seen it. Nothing to do with Edgar Wright, but Queen's Gambit, if you haven't seen it, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, Netflix with chess.
Yeah,
Netflix with chess.
Yes. It is Netflix and chess.
I've heard really good things about it, actually, mostly from Rikesh, but from other people as well.
Rikesh is people.
Yeah, man.
Is he?
Do I ever give you shit recommendations? Ever?
Is it like Death Note?
With chess.
With chess.
But with chess.
It's like Death Note with chess.
Yes, Fraser, it is. Watch it. Watch it.
Do you know what?
That
actually does remind me, though. I remember reading a book years ago, and I think this is like a not child, but like the youth book, like teenage books. One of the books was called Lord Loss. I'll never forget it. It had like a wolf on the front. Loved it. But it was about a kid finding out that his family kind of deals with demons, if I remember correctly, like werewolves and shit. But the way they fight the demons, apart from like physical fights and magic and shit, is one of the main demons comes into the human world and just discovers chess and loves it so much that one of the main battles they have is just a chess match. Of a demon and a human having a chess match. It's really strange, but it's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
So to touch on his first music video, this is in 1996. So
wow,
this would be after his second
3 years after
film. Yeah, so he had a 93 film, 95 film, and in 96 he made his own film, Mash and Peas, and this is around the same time. This is a music video, Nomads, by the High Llamas.
Oh, great!
I don't know it. Is it? You just don't.
I don't know. I've never heard it.
It's a very trippy video of a band singing to the music with light, choreographed dancing, and funky costumes and settings. And to reflect on Wright's sort of opinion. So, by his own admission, the music video for Nomads was directed when Wright was only 22 years old, and he, to quote him, didn't really know what the hell I was doing. Even this early, however, you can see some of Wright's talent, quirks, and style on display. I didn't see much of it, but if you look at his directing and his quick pans and his sort of quirkiness, it was there. But I would.
What genre of music?
That's a very good question.
High Llamas.
By the High Llamas, I think it was like a sort of like a semi-rocky, chill-out sort of vibe.
Okay.
I didn't think of writing the genre down. That was actually
acoustic.
Yes, a bit more trippy than
I'm
that.
going to quickly play it. Oh shit, that was an ad.
You can't play it. You can't
Yeah, I
play
just
it.
realised. Don't worry, that was an
Have to
advert
mute
song
it.
anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, copyright strike, mate.
But yeah, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
His next one is quite a big jump. We go to 2002. So from 96 to 2002. And this is in between making Spaced and Shaun of the Dead. So this is the song After Hours by the Blue Tones. And this is the first piece of Wright's work that seems to draw inspiration from a recent mainstream music video. It's hard not to see shades of Paul Thomas Anderson and Fiona Apple's Paper Bag video in the theme of children masquerading as 1940s adults. After Hours is also the video that Wright says gave him the confidence needed to attempt tracking shots in movies like Shaun of the Dead. And just to give you an idea, the whole video is a tracking shot of 1940s dress style children mouthing along to the music with dancing and jokes, sort of like very Bugsy Malone inspired, with at the very end a pie shootout where they get guns and that like throw. Like,
fully Bugsy Malone. Sick.
Very Bugsy Malone, yeah. But yeah, directing wise, yeah, it's a whole tracking shot of just like almost looks like a wanna. And I can imagine that being his first challenge, because this was after Spaced, which is a TV show type of directing, not movies. And now the music video is kind of touching on both of those worlds. It looked really fun, I must admit. And again, very like light rocky, very bouncy. The next one is just a year later, so now 1 year before Shaun of the Dead, which is Blue Song by Mint Royale. Okay, so this one I really want to talk about. I watched the video of this. This one is fucking awesome. I can't remember the actor's name. What's that British actor, musician guy? He looks quite funky. He's got the blue eyes. And he's in the Mighty Boosh. Is the guy with the wild black hair?
Noel Fielding.
Noel Fielding.
Is it him? Is that his name?
The one who plays the moon.
Yes.
Boosh, yeah. Noel Fielding.
Right, so he's the main guy in this. Now, any of you guys, Rikesh especially, if you've watched Baby Driver, watch this. This was in 2003, right? And speaking to NME, Wright explained how the start of Baby Driver references video for Manchester band Mint Royale's Blue Song. That, to quote him, that is a clip from the music video for Blue Song by Mint Royale that I directed after Space and before Shaun the Dead, which was basically a dry run for this movie. It's exactly the same. They pull up to a scene. They're all about to rob a bank, and the main guy, which is the Mighty Boosh guy, basically goes to them, right, how long is it going to take you? And they'll be like, 2.5, 3 minutes. He's like, oh, how long? They're like, 3 minutes this. And he's like going through his CDs, like, right, 3 minutes 15, that's what you've got. They all run into the bank, and he puts the music on, and he's just like proper synchronized with the music, doing the wiper blades and all that. And then at one point, like, the security walks past him, and you see him get cardboard out, like, I don't know, picking someone up or broken down, and he's trying to like figure it out, and he puts like a driver's cap on, and he's just there by the by the car that walks by, waves, and they move on, and he just carries on dancing in the car. And as soon as the song ends, everyone from the bank robbery comes in and they drive off. It's a like for like intro to the film, man, and
awesome.
Nice.
Love seeing that inspiration pop up. That was my favorite video I watched of his when I was doing the research.
Nice. I'll give it a watch.
Yeah. It's a fun, bouncy song as well. But the directing wise, I'm like, oh my god, this is scene for scene, and obviously it's his own work.
That's cool.
So the next one is 2000, the same year. So we've done 2 videos in the same year. Excuse me. This is called Psychosis Safari by the 80s Matchbox Beeline Disaster. This is another video. Pardon?
80s Matchbox Beeline Disaster.
Yeah, it's the 80s Matchbox Beeline Disaster. That's the band name.
That's
so
mad.
I know. But I'm going to describe it to you, and you can understand that the name does match the video, because it's another video made between the conclusion of Space and Shaun of the Dead. Psychosis Safari is a ridiculously fun piece of punk, delivering around 95% of the inventive visuals of Queens of the Stone Age's classic No One Knows music video at a fraction of the cost. Wright has crammed his video with tons of creative effects, stop motion, animation, rotoscoping, and Fork's 3D special effects that impressively give the video more cohesion rather than less. Wright delivers a cartoonish acid trip about a hard rock band ruling the open world. I don't have to describe it anymore. It's exactly that. It is very trippy and fast paced, but it makes sense. It's not choppy. It doesn't throw you out. But with like the 80s Matchbox Beeline disaster, it matches the theme very well.
Sweet.
Nice. Okay.
I can imagine that being quite a challenge. Like if you're making a film or show based off of like a source material, you're taking the essence of it. But to make a music video, you're literally taking someone's rhythm and vibe and trying to match it with the techniques that you know how to do. That must be quite a creative challenge, but a nice, expressive way. Because it's not your.
I think for most people that would be kind of hard, right? But I think Edgar Wright has such a way with his movies and shooting scenes. I think he's just naturally very good at syncing up the beats to the action on screen, so everything syncs in that kind of way. Because a lot of his films have that same kind of style, right? And that's one of like the defining things that when I see a movie and I see that kind of that synchronization between what's coming on screen and the music that I'm hearing, that's like a very Edgar Wright thing that pops up into my head. So maybe he's just naturally good at it. Maybe that's why he plays on it, because he does it better than most.
Definitely a talent.
Yeah, he edits it like how you'd edit a trailer. Like you know how like trailer is all like dum 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 dum. You know, he will literally do that exact thing but in a film, and it like you know, for most directors it would throw you off, but he kind of nails it when he does
even in again like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End, the fight scenes like to the music. It's pretty synced.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
especially with the cues at the end of
that's exactly
Stop
Queen.
Ouch. No more. We'll get done for copyright.
Okay.
He said, "Don't drop my cow."
Now. Don't drop that cow. So now we move on to 2005, which is a year after Shaun of the Dead, and a little bit behind before Hot Fuzz. And this is called Summer by Charlotte Hatherley. And this is someone he's worked with a few times. So if you come looking for a little bit of Scott Pilgrim versus the world in Wright's music videos, what better place to work out some of your ideas for a modern rock band? You'll find what you're looking for in his collaborations with Hatherley. I do apologize with the pronunciations. So Summer still shows off some of the aesthetic rock band concepts that Wright would bring with him to that film in Scott Pilgrim, including more whip pans than you can shake a stick at, and the same animated sound effects present throughout Pilgrim itself. Of the same year, with the same artist, he made another video with her called Bastardo. And again, this is much more to Pilgrim sort of style, because this is a comic book paneling that existed in Bastardo would go on to influence the visual effects work on Scott Pilgrim. And with YouTube Nerd Writer's channel breaking down Wright's penchant for transitions and comic book format to Bastardo. Each panel on Bastardo contains everything you need to know about the progression of the story. It's often funny and sometimes silly, but with each image like a short live action sequence. You have one of Wright's famous elliptical sequences. The headache-inducing editing also serves as the perfect reference point for Baby Driver, with a cast including David Williams, Julia Davies, Lucy Davies, Lauren Laverne, Alice Lau, and Simon Pegg. So now we started to bring it into the music video, and
sweet.
This literally is, for the Bastardo one, a very choppy, fast-paced comic book style of music, where it kind of almost moves down a panel of pages and it's only the artist that's moving and all the rest are like in frozen poses, like aha, oh ho, but she's the only one singing and looking at the camera.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, okay.
It's quite funky. It's really, really funky, I must admit. And he worked with this artist in the same year and made these videos with her in the same year, but very different styles, but really feeding his sort of film directing.
I bet these were very lucrative for him as well. Like, filming a music video.
Yeah,
I bet
must
that
have
makes
been.
Well,
a fair amount of money quite quick.
we're gonna touch on that a little bit at the end in trivia, Fraser, because he does mention that the money side of the music videos, but I won't go into it because we're at the last music video he made. So 2005 was that one. Now we jump almost 10 years, and I'm just going to synchronize this with the films. So after The World's End, but before Baby Driver, in 2014, and I did not know this, he made the music video Gust of Wind by Pharrell Williams. He directed a Pharrell Williams song. So this is a bit of a strange one because the video is a forest-based sort of video, choreographed with dancing women behind a singing Pharrell with Daft Punk monuments, like statues and heads. Like they kind of chime in for their parts of singing.
Okay.
It's directing-wise, it's not very Edgar Wright. And consider that it's taken almost 9 years to get back to making a video. I think because it's probably Daft Punk and Pharrell, and it was that stage where they were collaborating.
I feel like he
The
wouldn't have
theme
had
wasn't-
much creative
He
control.
didn't have that wiggle room, but there is a little bit of Wright's flair on display in this video. The choreography and synchronization with the music, the clapping hands in the foreground, the background of the dancers, the giant floating Daft Punk monuments, and I'm going to hopefully pronounce this, the wuxia inspired dance sequences, which is wuxia is the, like this sort of Chinese fiction of people doing like superhero feats of like they're like running along the top of the bamboo trees, like doing jumps and movements, like choreography. That's called wuxia. Sort of like what's the film with the sword, man? I've forgotten the film now. I always think of that one.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, great film.
Yes, yeah, of that style. I didn't know that sort of a genre is called wuxia, which is actually spelled Wuxia. So again, very Edgar Wright-ish. One of the things Edgar Wright reflected on this video is, and to quote him, that there isn't a lot of money to be made in music videos anymore. So directors make them more out of passion than anything else. This was Wright's first one in nearly a decade, and his first after his infamous Cornetto trilogy. Oh, so that was the part I was mentioning. So yeah, there isn't apparently a lot of money. It's just passion projects.
Oh, fair.
Mad. I guess it is good practice, isn't it, as well? Like realistically, you get good exposure because everyone's going to see, most people were watching music videos back then. Good editing and directing, nice little 3.5 minute piece. Good practice.
Yeah.
And
he's brought in a lot of
his like making movies.
Yeah. And he's brought in a lot of his OG cast as well. And I can imagine that when your name is on the song for the video, I'm sure you're making connections as it is with all these sort of people. Like I'm sure like sound editors and directors and whatnot. But it's almost to say, hey, can I use that song? I'm already part of the system, part of the sort of creation of it. Like you might have a bit more of a window into collaborating and taking on songs into your films.
That's a good point. And he does love having music in his films. So yeah, make the connections. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But I would honestly say, guys, and I will even send you the link after, please watch the blues song by Mint Royale. Man, if you've all watched the intro Baby Driver, it is like for like, but it's so fun. They do it so well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little YouTube binge after this.
Go for it, man. How are we doing on time?
No idea.
It hasn't come up with a 10-minute warning yet, so.
So now we come to the last segment, which is Edgar Wright trivia. I haven't gone through everything, but I've just gone through sort of the top stuff and the stuff that I found the most interesting. Now, you guys need to watch this because I watched this and it was hilarious. In 2020, if I'm understanding this correctly, no, I think it came in 2020. There may be something happening with it, but in 2007, Wright wrote and directed a fake trailer insert for Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez's Grindhouse called "Don't." Yes, we're back to Quentin. This trailer is hilarious. It's one of his like same cast, but it's so much of a fun parody. I'll send you the link because it wasn't actually easily available, and it's just like, do you want to go into the house at night? Don't. Do you want to do this? Don't. And it just gets faster and faster. And it's just like very graphic and very horror. Like Do you want to go for a walk in the woods? Don't. And it just keeps going, and it's just hilarious, man. It is a plotless trailer that mocked horror cliches featuring Nick Frost, Jason Isaacs, Matthew McFadden, Rafe Spall, Lee Ingleby, Mike Gattis, Michael Smiley, Peter Serafinowicz, Stuart Wilson, Will Arnett, Katie Malua, Lucy Punch, Daisy Haggard, Emily Booth, Georgina Chapman, Mayanna Buring, Nicola Cunningham, and of course Simon Pegg.
Jesus, that's a big cast.
Big cast, but it is so good. I've even made a copy of the link. I will send it to you because it's like 2-3 minutes, but it was hilarious. But I found it amazing that he made a spoof trailer for a Quentin Tarantino and Rodriguez film of Grindhouse, which is a known horror movie at the time. Amazing.
What made him do that? It's so bizarre. And then obviously pay all these people.
Well,
if he did, maybe they've done it as favors. I don't know.
Maybe they were just having a laugh.
Yeah, maybe it's done it for fun, isn't it?
Just a side note, guys. I love how Rikesh and Frazer are slowly becoming less and less visible as the night.
Because they haven't turned their light on.
Yeah, I can't really move because whenever I move my laptop, it says like connection unstable when you guys.
Fraser, it's scary, bro. Because
you look nocturnal, bro.
All
your
I
eyes.
can see is your shiny eyes.
Fraser's just like
cool,
it's just. All I'll say is the reflection on his glasses. That's it. That's all I
It's like a wolf coming over, like approaching me in the dark. It's terrifying.
I think it's cool.
I don't like it.
It is cool, but I can't look.
It's a reflection on my glasses. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can kind of see my teeth sometimes.
I've screenshot.
Oh my god, I see him. It looks like a little face.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Adorable.
That's terrifying, bro.
It is both terrifying and adorable.
To kind of touch on why he may have done it, Edgar Wright is actually a close friend of writer-director Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
I have no idea that they would have ever made a connection, but
how?
I think I don't know how, but for two people with such a specific style of directing and love for movies, I would love to see them. Yeah, it makes sense, but I would still love to see them in the room and just hear their conversation. It would be fascinating to me.
And they're never going to collab now.
Or maybe they will.
Maybe they will.
Maybe they will.
When I looked at Don't, the trailer says 2007, but it also popped up in 2020. And for Don't in 2020, it said, unfortunately, specific details or a comprehensive summary of the horror short film directed by Edgar Wright as part of the Aneurin Bernard's Panic Button series are not readily available. So it seems like he did go from spoof to making a short episode of something. The short film may feature suspenseful storytelling, creative visuals, and a horror-themed narrative. That's what 2020 was looking like. I don't know if it is being made, but that's what was being rumored at the time.
Interesting.
We have 7.5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, these are all trivia tidbits, so we can stop at any point. So in 2002, Wright apparently asked Simon Pegg to turn down a role in Dog Soldiers, which is a 2002 horror movie about a troop of soldiers falling prey to a pack of vicious werewolves. Fraser, I can see that now. As Wright wanted Pegg's first role in a horror film to be Shaun of the Dead, and he did turn it down. And he did Shaun of the Dead.
That's a very good choice. That's a lot of faith.
Yeah, but he worked with him in
ask an actor to turn down a job to do their work. I mean, by this
kind
point,
of savage. But...
Shaun of the Dead was like, whoa, not one of Simon Pegg's breakout roles, but it was a big role for him to kind of put him on the map.
No, Shaun of the Dead was his main breakout.
Yeah,
role.
I think it was his big one, wasn't it? Because I don't remember him before that really.
Space was before.
Yeah.
So
Space was a TV show.
And Dog Soldiers wasn't really breakout anything, I don't think.
No, it didn't really do a breakout anything.
Dog Soldiers.
I didn't really hear of it, but I mean, it's like, do you want to be a part of a film or do you want to be in the center of the film?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he established his style, 100%. But at the time, it might not have been. But like you guys said, that's faith, and I'm sure that because they wrote together as well, so they became friends and collaborators personally and professionally. So with Shaun the Dead,
he made a good choice.
Oh,
definitely.
100%.
100%. On the darkest timeline, Simon Pegg would have said no and did and did the Dog Soldiers, and then we would have got the Cornetto trilogy.
And then he would have become
nothing.
I can't remember his name.
Darkest
Don't worry, joke's gone.
Time on Earth.
But he
James
would have
Corden.
become
That's what I was going to say. Shit.
James Corden.
Would have gone straight to Hollywood, and become a knob.
A lot of people don't like him for some odd reason. Like even in America now, there's a lot of people saying apparently he's very rude. Is the rumors of James Corden?
I
think
think
there
he's
was an
just very
incident in a
business.
restaurant.
Like everything has to be
Money.
ready and running. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think. Yeah. Anyway,
4 minutes left.
so in 2015, and this is in between. So between the World's End and Baby Driver, something we mentioned. So I'm going to read a little touch on it. So in 2015, Wright dropped out of the director's position for Ant-Man after developing the film for over 10 years.
What?
Due to creative differences between himself and Marvel Studios, he is still credited as a screenwriter and story writer. So he was quite heavily involved. And just to add on a bit more, while not a full-length film, Edgar Wright actually did direct a test reel for Marvel for the superhero film Ant-Man. The test reel demonstrated the potential visual style and tone of the character's cinematic adaptation, featuring a small-scale adventure involving the shrinking superhero. As Marvel further defined their image for the MCU, the film eventually got directed by Peyton Reed and released in 2015. So it didn't match their cinematic universe image and theme. And from what Wright is saying, friction between him and the studio was like, well, fuck this, I'm out. But he was on it and involved and attached to this IP for 10 years. And that's why he's still credited, because a lot of his ideas did transfer over.
Yeah, dude. A decade's worth of work just to be like, nah, fuck it.
As Marvel fans, we kind of have to go. They've had that plan. Like Ant-Man was a very key part in their literal end game. So I guess you kind of have to go, Edgar, we love this vibe, but that part of the story has to change a bit, and then all of a sudden you're changing quite a lot. It's aiming.
You know what?
I
kind of see it as well, like in his friends, in his like security company that he's trying to start up, and then when they're doing that story, it's like, oh yeah, my friend.
Yeah,
that's very Edgar Wright.
That's very Edgar Wright. Yeah.
I think you can sprinkle it in, but I think when you're part of something developing over 10 years and other factors developing around this universe, the image is going to change. And it's natural to say, listen, man, 10 years ago you fit the role, now it doesn't. But Edgar Wright, Ant-Man, the one that we did get from Reed, has still got that bounciness compared to a lot of the other films in the MCU.
It does. It does.
It doesn't have the quality of an Edgar Wright film.
No, it kind of seeps in, because I think, all right, let's put it this way: if Edgar Wright did direct Ant-Man within the current MCU, do you feel like he would have been mismatched, or do you feel like he would have been the sort of James Gunn Guardians, like, oh, this is different and weird, but it works? Do you think it would have stood its own place regardless?
I think it would have had to been its own story, just separate. Like Guardians 1 was basically separate. I know it had like Thanos in it briefly, but it was very standalone. I think you're right. It would have been like that.
So Wright is a huge fan of Romero's zombie films, and his film Shaun of the Dead is filled with references to them. He also made a cameo appearance also along the star and co-writer of Shaun of the Dead, Simon Pegg, in George Romero's fourth zombie film, Land of the Dead, 2005. So him and Pegg actually starred Land of the Dead in 2005. So they Wright and Pegg cameoed in Romero's fourth zombie film. Imagine having someone you look up to and then kind of go, you've earned my respect and my attention. Come in.
Pretty cool. Never seen it though. Never heard of it.
No,
I've never heard of it either.
Land of the Dead.
That is pretty cool, though. That is pretty cool.
It is. So a couple of other things that he was almost attached to is Russell T Davies offered Wright the job to direct Doctor Who episode Rose, but he had to turn it down as he was already busy directing Shaun of the Dead. So he could have established himself as a Doctor Who director.
Thank God he didn't.
I don't think he's missing out.
Yeah.
I think I would have known, but I think to have your name attached to, I think those sort of British standalone medias of like James Bond and Life of Doctor Who, it's not necessarily about the quality. It's more like your name it's on your resume. It represents your whole nation.
It was Christopher Eccleston back then as well, wasn't it? As Doctor Who, and that was a lot edgier. That was a lot, a lot darker. Could have been cool. But Shaun of the Dead, cool. I mean, I wouldn't trade that off.
No, not at all. Sure, I think Edgar Wright's made the right decisions. So Edgar Wright actually has a brother called Oscar Wright, and he is he is a titles designer, music video director, and animator. He studied model making for the effects industry at the Kent Institute for Art and Design. From there, he worked in-house at Ealing Studios, where he drifted into 2D animation. Some of his works consist of Wonder Woman, Solo: A Star Wars Story, and his brother's films, The World's End and Hot Fuzz.
Nice.
So it seems like it's a bit of a family passion and family vibe that they both collabed and moved on with this together.
Doing music videos as well. It's kind of strange. Do you reckon, did they do the music videos for the other, like the ones you mentioned, the 7? Did they collab?
No, he did. In his in Oscar Wright's IMDb and his works, nothing was mentioned about music videos. It was literally just about sort of title designs and. He didn't mention, because if he's also doing music video directing, I don't think he would have collaborated with his brother, because his brother's doing the same job in that moment. They would have been doing separate.
I thought
maybe they might help each other.
Yeah.
Possibly, bro. So we've mentioned the word Cornetto trilogy, but we don't ask why. We know that the Cornetto is coming from the Italian ice cream, very heavy, quite famous in the UK, and it's heavily featured in each of these films, in each trilogy. There's always at least a scene where they go into the shop to get one and sit down and eat. But did you know that each flavor of Cornetto in each film corresponds with the film as well?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, here we go.
Hot Fuzz was vanilla.
Shaun of the Dead.
Is it vanilla?
Don't guess it. I'm reading it. But you can guess it if you want. But okay, let's put this way. What flavor did Shaun of the Dead have?
Strawberry.
I'm not. Strawberry is correct, because the red signifies blood.
Blood, yeah, that makes sense.
Hot Fuzz. What flavor would you guys say for that one?
That was vanilla, for sure. That was vanilla.
With nuts.
That was vanilla. No nuts, because the blue and the white is the color of the police.
Right.
Vanilla, blue and white.
Yeah, it is.
Like the color of vanilla is blue. The traditional blue
packaging
on the actual Cornetto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not blue on the ice cream. No, that's Cornetto. That's not ice cream.
That's the bad ice cream. That's the one I got told off for eating.
What?
Breaking Bad ice cream.
Have you never had hairy ice cream?
Oh.
Depends on how many times you dropped it.
Inside jokes. It's a 3-second rule. It just depends on how many times you keep dropping it. But and what flavor would be The World's End? This one was a bit mint.
Green for aliens.
Boys, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, green mint chocolate, signifying a sci-fi element. So the name, the Cornetto trilogy, and the idea actually originates from just a silly joke during the promotion of Hot Fuzz. So technically, he wasn't calling it the Cornetto trilogy from Shaun of the Dead. It just happened to it was a joke that happened on Hot Fuzz, and it became part of it. And Wright had written in the use of Cornetto ice cream as a hangover cure for Frost's character in Shaun of the Dead, just based on his own experience. So the first Cornetto was just his own tidbit of his own life. And then it was like, well, actually, this is a joke. And they must have had a private joke and fed it into Hot Fuzz and The World's End, and it became the Cornetto trilogy.
Like that.
Oh, cool. Do you know what? I thought it was like a fan thing. I thought it just kind of sprung up.
I thought that at one point. Yeah. I didn't realize that it was something they kind of pushed themselves. I thought people just kept seeing it, but I think the way they've planned it so well with the flavors, it's like, no, it was well too thought out. But it did happen organically, which is nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't planned from the beginning.
That's actually really cool.
It is. These are fun films. The trivia deserves to be fun. So, according to Simon Pegg, Hot Fuzz was always the top choice for the film's title, with the only other contender being Blue Fury.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's just a terrible name.
Yeah.
But they say, even though it was there, they're like, no, Hot Fuzz was always the one. Meanwhile, Shaun of the Dead was originally titled Tea Time of the Dead.
Oh dear.
So British and so
I mean,
wrong.
yeah, it's very British. Yeah, I like it.
Whilst The World's End never changed. It was a name close to Wright and Peg's hearts, as they had a long history at the North London Camden pub of the same name, which we have all been to,
Yeah.
including filming the alley gunfight in Spaced next door. So the film's name is inspired from the Camden pub itself. And I have been there, and I connected the dots the wrong way around, going, "Oh my god, that pub is like the film's name."
Crazy. It does exist
there
in
you
Welling
go.
Garden City as well.
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's quite a common name, but they had their experiences, both of them, in Camden, which I fucking love. Camden. It's like one of the few things in London that I do love that nowhere else has so far.
Imagine if they'd filmed it there.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
That
And
would
did
have
you
been
say
cool.
they filmed an alleyway scene from
Space.
So from Space they filmed. Just happened to film a particular scene, not in the pub, next door, like in the alleyway. So they were filming in the area, and obviously I can imagine them just kind of getting like wrapping up and be like, "Well, let's go to the pub next door."
Mhm.
I think
How
I went
mad is
to
that?
I went to
big
a
fucking names.
I went to a live rock gig there with someone. I can't remember, but I remember passing through. I went in there once because I always walk past it and always thinking it looks cool. It's the same name of the film now, not knowing how iconic and connected it is. And I thought, let me just walk in the fucking pub to say I've done it. And I walked in and bought a drink. So glad I did. So originally, The World's End was gonna end, and I've heard of this before, with the titular character Gary King going back in time to rejoin his younger friends. But Wright reflected, it just felt like it was too late to introduce that. And if you're going to make a film about time travel, it might as well be the entire film.
Yeah, I guess.
I did hear about this alternative ending, and I'm so glad they didn't go with it. Like, I'm not necessarily completely psyched about the ending, but I enjoy it as an apocalyptic film where they're like, okay, it wasn't humanity's heart that saved it and their courage and their flaws. It's like, no, things got fucked. They left, the world collapsed, and he just carried on with a brand new troop of people.
Yeah, that's the parallel for that, isn't it? Because it's like a new young group that he was telling the story to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the film.
It kind of ends because even like the whole trope of like, oh, his best friends, like some of them that died stayed dead. Some of them that just were replaced by the aliens just carried on their lives like that. It didn't really give what we would call like the whole like Dan Harmon circle of a story or the wheel. It's just more. I respect it for it and I enjoy it, and I don't think it's a bad ending. It's just not what you would always expect.
You've got to try new things in it, and then sometimes they're winners, which most of the time they were, and sometimes they just don't quite work. But I mean, yeah, it's still a good film.
No,
Just
I
wasn't.
think when you put all,
Didn't the end of The World's End finish like when like whoever was left on Earth, it kind of turned like a game show like it was on Shaun of the Dead. They kind of took like the other people and like turned them into like game show kind of contestants and were like just doing like just fucked up shit with them.
No. I know what you're talking about. I think it shows moments of that because it tried to show that the aliens left over behind were kind of like integrating themselves into society and pop culture, but it wasn't. The world didn't change in that way. It just showed them, like you had scenes of them like eating and drinking with their families, and it's like, well, they're aliens and robots, but they've been accepted by society. There's a cohesion now.
Maybe I'm just remembering that wrong.
I don't
It
remember
wasn't
any of
the-
this ending.
I remember that. It's not a strong film that I watch enough times, but I do remember the scene that Rick's talking about. But I think it's like tidbits to reflect, like almost like a compilation, just to kind of show, like, hey, this is where society's kind of moved.
Oh yeah,
with these people. Yeah,
it's like an epilogue kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly that. Sort of the wind down, the transition out into the epilogue. So, long before the Cornetto trilogy, as we know, Wright, Pegg, and Frost worked together on a Channel 4 sitcom called Spaced. In one of the episodes, and I think I've seen this pop up, Pegg's character Tim takes speed and stays up all night playing Resident Evil 2. This unfortunate combination causes him to hallucinate about killing zombies. This particular bit or scene was inspired by Romero's iconic Dead trilogy. for which Pegg and Wright had a mutual appreciation. Filming that particular sequence is what inspired them to create their own zombie movie about two bumbling idiots in the middle of a zombie outbreak of Shaun of the Dead. And this is something they worked on together. Yeah.
Oh.
And
Just
that was one of
idea.
the scenes. That was one of the scenes I remember popping up on like sort of like Born Music and being like, what the fuck am I watching? This guy is like supposedly on speed, flashing lights, zombies coming out of the apartment. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I'm watching this with Simon Pegg because I recognize it and I like his films, but what am I ingesting right now? It was so weird, but I've watched that scene.
Oh, mad. Not that mad. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube, but you know, mad.
Yeah. And it kind of goes to show that, like Shaun of the Dead, the rest of the Cornetto trilogy, as much as it was Edgar Wright, it was Simon Pegg alongside of him, helping him write the films as well. Like, he was heavily involved. So there was a lot of creative collaboration and control. And I think you can really kind of build that teamwork in them. Like, I can imagine that, like our podcast, you find people that you click with and vibe with, you want to work with them more. And I can imagine that in something you're going to create and show to other people on a much bigger scale, that you would want to do that. Last three, boys. I know it's going to be a sad ending, but it's the last three ever. So the town in which Hot Fuzz was filmed, which we mentioned, was actually the town that Edgar Wright grew up in.
Okay.
Yes.
That's your link.
Absolutely. So the little cathedral city in the southwest of England called Wells, not Wales.
You say Wales in the Scottish accent.
I'm coming from Wells.
That
is
was
located.
Welsh.
That was Welsh, actually. Yeah. I'm coming from Wells.
I'm coming from Wells. I am.
Is located in the county of Somerset. This is where Wright grew up and where he even made his first short amateur film called Dead Right, as we mentioned above, in '93, when 18 years old. So that village that he's wrecking up, and he did apparently go to other villages and towns and ask, and they were like, no, you can't come and fucking shoot a film here because you got to shut down the whole thing. And he was like, let me go back home. Imagine going back to your hometown, your street, and being like, listen, we want to shut it down and film whatever, carnage, chaos, and comedy on your doorstep. Coming back, especially
you think that was his last resort?
No, I don't think it was a last resort. I think it was more a circumstantial idea of, well, okay, you know, we've gone on to certain scenes and certain sets, and it's okay. They've said no. They said no. Hey, actually, what about if we go back home? Because it ticks all the boxes of what we need. I think
I bet they were like celebrities as well, like to their hometown, innit? Like, you can be like, yeah, come and film a film. Like,
you represent us, and you were making a film at 18, running down the street, and now you're doing this. You know, you're known throughout the world or through your country. Absolutely, come represent.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the only thing they mentioned with going back to this that town is it's a cathedral city, meaning there's a very large cathedral, and they said they had to CGI the cathedral out of a lot of scenes, so we won't notice it, but it's because it's not something being added in, but more retracted, because it's made to look a lot smaller, where they've kind of CGI'd the cathedral and a lot of other buildings out. So, jumping to the pub, to the World's End. All of the pubs found throughout the World's End are real locations located throughout the quaint English towns of Welwyn, Garden City, and Letchworth Garden City. Both of which...
You had a gap between Welling and Garden City. It's Welling Garden City.
Do you know why I had a gap? In brackets, I had to write the pronunciation. So I was like, Welling, a Garden City.
It's not Welwyn.
Yeah, it's not Welwyn.
It's not Welwyn.
It's Welling Garden City and Letchworth Garden City. We'll just say I lagged, okay? Fuck you guys. Both of which are located in the county of Hertfordshire. Most of them are real pubs, including the Gardener's Arms in Letchworth, which stood in for the titular World's End pub. Wright and his team got creative with a few others. For example, the hole in the wall is actually the Letchworth railway station, which I don't know how that worked. They made a pub from a railway station.
No, I think it's a pub called the Letchworth Railway Station.
That is,
I don't know.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense. And the pub that they also made up, the Mermaid, is an Art Deco theatre in Letchworth called the Broadway Cinema. So they took a theatre as well and turned it into a pub.
Okay.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I like the
Easier to
idea
turn
that you
into
can
a
actually
set.
much easier, but you also it's I guess it's like the pros and cons of it's a real place, so everything's there. But the other side of it is we need permission to go in and affect it,
Film,
shut it down,
and-
pay people off. So it's like making your own set. You've got more creative control, like in a soundstage. But you, as a viewer, you know it's just not as real. There's something just not as grounded.
Yeah, I
than
mean, if
having
you're
a
putting
real
someone
place.
through the bar or something, like if there's an action scene, you can't have
Yeah.
a real bar. You won't go through it. Whereas if you can
Exactly.
make your own one somewhere else, yeah.
But on the backhand of it, especially with a successful film, it makes the place more iconic. You could literally put a picture and a plaque of that person and that film and that scene, and even if it's not a pub, people will want to come and see it. You know,
Definitely.
True.
It
Very true.
bolsters its rep. And to bring us to our last little bit of trivia, Wright actually has a voice cameo in The World's End when the main character Gary King goes to convince his old friend Stephen to join the childhood mission pub crawl. You know, in the scene where he goes to the building site, and his friend's got like the hard hat on, is like the manager of the building site. It's like a small scene. Is when he's doing the montage of going to each friend in their workplace. So when he's at the building site, you can hear a digger drop his bricks and shout, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And that was Wright who shouted that on set.
Nice.
So he
Was it an
cameoed in his
accident
own
or was
film.
it like
No.
was it planned?
It was planned. It was planned.
Oh,
It was like
okay.
I don't know if it was planned for him, but it was just a sort of like, yeah, someone's going to drop something in the background and just exclaim, and Wright was like, "I'll be the guy."
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And that is it, my friends. That is the end of today's poddy on Edgar Wright. GG claps.
The homage to Edgar Wright.
That's
The
cool.
homage to Edgar Wright. I think there can never be enough said, but I think the best thing I could say is, at this point, you can stop listening and just go watch his films.
All right, see ya.
I was no, not you guys. Wait. Guys, thank you for listening to another episode of Red Tracks On. As always, I have been Serhan.
As always, I have been Charlie.
As always, I have been Rick.
And as always, I'm Fraser.